Hey, this is John Horne. Thanks for joining me for Walking Basslines for Guitar. This is part 4 for TrueFire.com. Today we're going to talk about the chord stabs that occur over our walking bass lines, and we're going to talk about some ways to control the duration of them so that they start to sound independent of our long legato bass lines. When you do this right, you'll begin to create that illusion that, hey, aren't there two guitar players playing that? No, there's just one. So this is just a very simple introduction to this today. We're going to try and look at two examples. Let me point out first of all that both of our examples use the chord progression from the first two bars of the blues pattern that we learned in the last lesson, lesson number 3. We'll review those right now quickly. We're going to start with a C9 chord. Then we hop over to the 5th of the chord G and we walk down G, G flat, open E. We land on F, the bass note of our F13 in the next bar. And then we're going to walk up A, B flat, B natural, then back to C, which starts us over again. Okay, so without worrying about speed or dynamics or duration or any of that, it's going to sound like this. Now, duration is where it's at for starting to create this illusion, at least in my mind. So that's something that's very often overlooked by intermediate guitar players. It's certainly something that I overlooked for a long time. So I want to really impress upon you that this is something that will make a real difference in your playing once you start to look into it and master a few of these techniques. So our bass lines for this style of playing are generally going to be long legato notes. That means they're connected. There should be no daylight between the notes, no space where you can hear silence. It should be almost imagine if someone's playing that with one breath. I can't really sing that low, but you get the idea. Okay, so now let's take a look at our top note. All we have is a note on beat 1. It's an 8th note and it says it's supposed to be short. To me, that's kind of vague. So let's talk about exactly how short we want to make that. I have a metronome here. It's going at 60 beats per minute. And you can hear it's got a triplet subdivision. Triplet, 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 like that. I would like to make that note so short that it only lasts for the first of those 3 8th notes. So here's what we're going to do. You can just take your C9 chord and we'll play everything together on beat 1. Right? And then practice putting your index, middle, and ring fingers back down on their strings, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, right on the 2nd syllable. So if you're thinking triplet, you put your fingers back down on the P, but don't play the strings, just let them rest there lightly. So it'll sound like this. Triplet, triplet, triplet. Now, I just leave my fingers right there for the rest of the measure and play the rest of the bass line. So it'll sound like this. 2, ready, play. Again, triplet, triplet. Okay, now that doesn't sound very exciting in that tempo, I don't think. So let's move that up somewhere a little faster. Let's just go to like 108. That's a nice kind of medium tempo. There we go. And I'm going to take away our triplet subdivisions. Eventually, it's good to practice with them, but it's nice to be able to hear that in your head. So start to think about internalizing that so you can think triplet, 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 triplet. And if you need to practice it at several tempos before you make it to this point, please do that. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and... So I clipped all of those off. I hope you can hear that it starts to give you a little bit of separation because the chord just isn't ringing out for however long. All right, example 2. Let's take a look at that one. I think this one's actually easier. We're going to play two eighth notes with that same triplet feel. So the first eighth note will be long. It'll last for two of those eighth notes, those triplet eighth notes. Let's get my triplet subdivision going here again. Here we go. So it'll go like that. That's our rhythm we want for the eighths. All right. I also like to kind of accent the second eighth note a little bit. Try to dig in a little more. Now, it's really, really important that you stop that note. Don't just kind of go on and let that just ring out. It could be longer occasionally if you want it to be, but for now, let's practice making things nice and tidy, for lack of a better term. So there's lots of space on top. So here's what we're going to do. Imagine you're going to play a chord again on beat 2 with this new bass note of G over here. Just go. Right? You could go ahead and do that. And get used to that feeling. That's not too hard for people. Sometimes the muting is a little difficult. So get used to what that feels like. And then simply try doing this. Put all your fingers like you're about to play the chord, but don't do it. Okay, you're in place there. You're in control of what you want, and all you need to do at that point is let your thumb play the next note. Okay, same thing's going to happen with F13. One additional little thing I want to point out with the F13, when I take and I go to the second bass note here, and I'm about to play this A, I let the back of my thumb hit the 6th string. So that way, anything that might be tempted to ring out should be stopped by the back of my finger. Occasionally, it still makes a little noise, but that's what we're going for is silence. All right, so here's example 2, 60 beats per minute again. Go 1, 2, ready, 2 eighths. One more time. Okay, and let's take that up to 120. Oh, let's get rid of our triplet subdivisions. When you hear this a little faster, it'll sound even better. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Two more. Okay. I think you can hear that sometimes when you're playing something so slowly, it does help you to really make sure that everything's at the right time. But some of these swing rhythms do need to be played a little faster to really get the most out of them. Okay, so that's our lesson for today. I would suggest taking a chord progression that you already know and can play a bass line through, maybe even the blues from lesson 3, and systematically applying both of those patterns. These will be really easy ones because all of our chords are on beat 1. Next time that I see you here for a lesson, we're going to talk about playing some notes later in the measure, maybe even anticipating some, and we'll use some new chord progressions as well. So I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks so much.